You spent nearly 1,000 days as a baby. 1,000 days of being held, fed, learning your own name, seeing your parents' faces for the very first time, and you cannot remember a single one of them. Here's the part that should unsettle you. Those memories aren't just buried or faded or hard to reach. Your brain didn't lose them. It deleted them on purpose. The most important years of your life, the years that built the person you are, and you were never allowed to keep them. This is Case File 2, the mystery of your missing years. And to understand where they went, you first have to answer a simpler question. One most people get wrong. When does your very first memory actually begin? Because it's later than you think. Right now, try to picture your earliest memory, the very first thing you can recall. Got it? Now here's the catch. There's a good chance it never happened. But we'll come back to that. Because for almost everyone, that earliest memory lands somewhere around age 3 or 3.5. Everything before that? A blank. Psychologists have a name for this wall: infantile amnesia. Nearly every human being has it. 3 whole years of your life, gone, in the exact same spot. And that's the strange part. Because you weren't unconscious for those years. You were awake, learning faster than you ever will again. So if your brain was recording all of it, where did the tape go? The answer starts with a part of your brain that, back then, wasn't even finished being built. Deep in your brain sits a small, curved structure called the hippocampus. Think of it as the recorder, the part that takes an experience and files it away as a long-term memory you can play back later. There's just one problem. When you're a baby, that recorder isn't finished. The hippocampus is one of the last parts of the brain to fully wire up. So in those first years, experiences come flooding in, but the machine meant to save them permanently is still under construction. But an unfinished recorder isn't the whole story, because even the memories your baby brain did manage to save got destroyed. And the thing that destroyed them was your brain growing up. Here's something incredible. A baby's brain builds new brain cells at an explosive rate, far faster than an adult's ever will. It's a construction site running at full speed, wiring up millions of new connections every single day. And scientists think that's exactly the problem. All that furious new growth doesn't happen on empty land. Those new neurons wire into the same circuits that were holding your early memories, scrambling them, overwriting them, paving right over the top. Your brain, in the rush to build itself, quietly demolished the memories it had already made. So that's 2 forces erasing your past: a recorder that wasn't ready, and a construction crew paving over the tape. But there's a third reason, and it's the strangest of all. Because even if a memory survived, you had no way to file it. Quick thing, this is Case File 2, and the Bureau's just getting started. If you like knowing how your own mind actually works, hit subscribe. A new case opens every week, and it's the only payment we ask for. Now, back to your missing years. Think about how you remember anything. You remember it as a story. I was here. This happened to me. I felt this. Every memory is tagged with a time, a place, and a main character, you. But as a baby, you didn't have any of that yet. You had no language to put the moment into words, and you didn't yet have a fully formed sense of self, the feeling of being a distinct I that things happen to. That doesn't fully switch on until around age 2. So without words and without a you at the center, experiences never got organized into a story your older brain could go back and find. It's like a library where the books were never given titles or shelves. The information's in there somewhere, but there's no way to look it up. which leads to the twist that changes how you should think about all of this. Because here's the truth. Those memories aren't actually gone. This is the part almost nobody realizes. As a baby, you were forming memories, powerful ones. You learned your parents' faces. You learned that a certain cry brought comfort. You learned the sounds that would become your entire language. You learned to walk. None of that came from nowhere. It came from experiences your brain absolutely recorded. You just can't replay them as scenes, because they didn't get stored as a highlight reel you can watch. They got stored as you. Your instincts, your habits, the way you attach to people, the language that lives in your head. So you can't remember being a baby. But in a very real way, you don't need to, because you're looking at those memories every time you look in a mirror. They didn't disappear. They became the person you are. And yet, some people can reach a little further back than others. So what makes one person's first memory start at 3 and another's at 2, or even earlier? It comes down, in large part, to one thing: words. Studies have found that children whose families talked to them more, who asked them questions, who told stories back to them about their day, tend to form their earliest lasting memories sooner. The more a child's experiences got turned into language, the better those experiences stuck. It even shows up across cultures. In communities where parents tell rich, detailed stories about the past, people's earliest memories tend to arrive earlier in life. Where the past is talked about less, that first memory shows up later. Your earliest memory isn't just about your brain. It's about how much your world was put into words. But here's a final uncomfortable thing about that earliest memory you pictured at the start. There's a real chance it never actually happened. Remember the memory you thought of at the beginning? Researchers have found that a huge number of people's earliest memories are, at least partly, invented, not on purpose. What happens is this: you see an old photo. You hear a family story told 100 times. Oh, you loved the beach when you were 2. And slowly, your brain stitches those fragments into what feels like a real memory. You can picture it. You can almost feel it. But you're not remembering the moment. You're remembering the story of the moment, and quietly filling in the rest. So your brain deleted 3 real years, and then, to fill the gap, it started writing memories that never happened. Which raises a genuinely disturbing question. If your mind can invent a memory this convincing, out of a photo and a story, how many of your other memories can you actually trust? Because false memories don't stop in childhood. Adults can be made to vividly, confidently remember entire events that never took place. Your memory isn't a recording. It's a story your brain rewrites every time you open it. And that's a case for another file. So the next time you wish you could remember being small, being carried, being new to the world, don't think of those years as lost. You can't watch them back. But you didn't lose them. You became them. That's this case. Closed. If you learned something, the only thing we ask in return is one click. Subscribe, and we'll see you at the next file.